Welcome back to Morning at 10 TV. Let's get straight into our Take Note conversation now. Economic development and urbanization poses numerous challenges to transportation systems, such as traffic congestion and environmental health risks in many cities around the world. Urbanization attracts more people to the city as the population continues to increase. The limited capacity of existing transport infrastructure is stretched, and it becomes a constraint to cope with the public demand for travel. Kampala is no exception. It faces increasing urban planning problems such as traffic congestion, air pollution, and traffic safety. So here on Morning at 10 TV, we are exploring all the possible practical solutions to Kampala's traffic congestion. So yesterday, we started it off, and we looked at the use of this ICT solution, some app that we also yesterday, that is geared towards helping you to maneuver the traffic within Kampala. So today, our focus is on Namirembe Road, the non-motorized transport project whose construction and completion, according to the KCCA spokesperson, Mr. Peter Kauju, is at 65%. So at this point in time, I do have our traffic officer, Mr. Stephen Bide, on standby, who will tell us more about this non-motorized transport, or what we all know as active transport or human-powered transport. We're talking about walking lanes, cycling lanes. In the developed countries like the Netherlands, we have a majority who use scooters and stuff like that. So Stephen Bide is on standby. He has some engineers with him who will let us in on this particular amazing project that the KCCA undertook. Stephen Bide, good morning, if you can hear me.
Well, thank you. Good morning to you, Mala. This is Stephen Mbide right on the road, on the ground, and this is Namirembe Road. To be specific, this is the road that comes from Bakuli traffic lights as you drive from either Hoima Road or that side of Mengo, sloping towards this particular point. This is Bakuli. It's supposed to be Bakali, but we Lugandanized it into Bakuli, and just opposite me is Bethel Healing Center Church. That is along the Odi Kampala Road, the road that links you towards the side of Odi Kampala Police Station. While on my extreme right is Rubaga Road. Rubaga Road also comes from the side of Wakaliga or Kabusu side as you drive towards this particular point here. There's already a smooth flow of traffic for those connecting towards Rubaga Road or those coming from that side of Kabusu, Kabakanjaga Road, and the rest of the areas coming towards this particular point, as well as there is this other side of Mwanga 2 Road. Mwanga 2 Road, of course, comes off the ring road that is around the Kabaka's Palace, as well as coming from that side of the Chibuye side as you come towards Namirembe Road. But remember, there is already construction of the non-motorized transport system that is going, of course, expected to help to ease the traffic congestion that is in the city center of Kampala. And we hope so that maybe once this construction is done, we shall be seeing a clear flow of traffic. When you see down there vehicles sloping towards that side of the city direction, where of course there is also construction is still ongoing, there's just vehicles heading towards the city center. There is no vehicle that is coming towards this other side of Namirembe Road. You have to just keep sloping down. You cannot come from the heart of the city trying to slope towards this other side. But here I came here just to understand how far has KCCA gone with the construction of this non-motorized transport system in Kampala. And of course, to help me understand more about this is Engineer Serunjoji Andrew, who is here with me on set to help me understand. Of course, Engineer, good morning to you.
Morning, sir. How are you?
I'm okay. Thank you. I have to first of all thank you for this work done so far.
You're most welcome.
And I would like to know how far have you gone, because we know this construction began last year, last year. I want to know how far have you gone so far?
Yeah. We are progressing very well, and like you can see, it's rightly gaining shape. The motorists are getting used to the concept of the non-motorized transport, and the contractor has also regained much speed, because it's now moving pretty much faster. We're working day and night to make sure the project is concluded before the end of December.
Before the end of December?
Yes.
And first, maybe for someone who's just getting to know about non-motorized transport, just let us know about this concept. How was it built? What's the mission? And how would that person gain as a pedestrian, as a motorist, as a cyclist? What's the concept and how did you come up with this concept?
This concept was basically adopted quite a few years ago by management of KCCA. And like you've rightly stated, the non-motorized transport. What we are basically trying to do is to regulate the flow of traffic within the CBD to make sure that both the pedestrians, cyclists and motorists can use the available space optimally and effectively. But right now, the design seems to be providing more facilities for people who are going to walk, the pedestrians, and also to make it safe for the cyclists to ride through. We are trying to limit traffic as much as possible through this corridor. And as you rightly see, the design is going to provide for a single lane for a few sections of traffic within the motorized corridor. Otherwise, the rest of the section and the rest of the design is basically providing for pedestrians and cyclists. And that's what we want to promote in the city, to make it safer for all the road users, and also to have a carbon-free environment. Like you can see, the city has been pretty congested in the past. Motorists are all over, there's nowhere you can move. The air we are trying to breathe is all contaminated and polluted. Now, by doing so, we are trying to limit the carbon, the emissions, by creating more green spaces into the city. And we hope this will help a lot.
That will be a part of the beautification of Kampala. That's why I can see, at least here, you dug down here, I can see, of course. But maybe for someone who's just coming to Kampala for the first time, would like to know where is this road going to connect from, up to which section, and which road will be interrupted for now, at least as they drive towards the city.
Yeah, basically the NMT corridor is going to start from the Java Shell Bakuli, and it's going to end on Entebbe Road.
That is off Kampala Road and Hoima Road.
Hoima Road. From Hoima Road, Bakuli Junction, there is a Shell there. Then we shall move right all the way through Namirembe, Luum Street, up to Entebbe Road. That is at Barclays Bank, Entebbe Road.
Okay. And that is, because I know there are some roads like Namirembe, rather Allen Road, there is Kafumbe Mukasa Road, there is Benchwanuka Street, that junction. I've been using that road for some time, and I saw, of course, there was also interruptions there. I don't know, how are you taking into consideration for the businesses for so far now? I know many of them are being interrupted within the city center where you're doing construction.
We must appreciate that this is a new concept in the city. And most of the users, including the shop owners, are yet to appreciate. But I can assure you, the businesses that are perceived to be interrupted are going to benefit them more. Because we are going to bring more shoppers into the corridor. More shoppers. Because once they find it safer, they are going to come. Secondly, we have compromised the design to take into account most of people's concerns, especially the shop owners.
Okay.
Now, the Baton Street, the alley, the Duster, the Benchwanuka, we've allowed through traffic.
Okay.
And some of those junctions are going to be signalized to allow motorists to pass and pedestrians to pass. So we've tried to compromise the sections, especially the one of Namirembe Road. That's why you are seeing. That's why you're seeing traffic flowing down.
Oh.
Correct. Otherwise, it was supposed to be purely NMT. But because of that concept, and because our people were not yet used to the whole concept of the NMT, we decided to compromise the design and allow that through traffic. And it's going to go through up to Allen Road.
Allen Road, maybe for someone who's just getting to know Allen Road, is the one that comes from around Clock Tower, joining Chiseka side, Sekamaki side.
Yeah. Now, we're also going to have a right turn going to Nachivubo
News?
The next one.
Nachivo Road? Or?
Yeah, your right turn as you come from Queen's Clock Tower.
Okay.
We are going to have a right turn going there.
Okay.
And that section is called Nachivubo
Natural Road, Natural Muse?
News.
Natural Muse. Okay, just want to know for someone who's really anticipating that yes, we shall be, you, as KCCA, you'll be able to deal with the congestion within the city. How is this really going to help? Because many of the road users, if you can, Jeff can show you, they are border riders coming and others going down. That is a sign of indiscipline on our roads. How are you going to be able to address this issue? Because even if you do this beautification and trying to decongest the city, we shall still see many other bad road users. How will you be able to address this concern?
I strongly agree with you. We have not yet started operationalizing the corridor. That's why you see people are moving in haphazard manners. The border riders that you see are coming up are all supposed to be riding down in one directional flow. But what is going to happen, indeed traffic flow is a challenge, but we as KCCA have come up with some measures to decongest the city, especially the corridor. So we provided alternative routes to this effect. And some of the alternative routes are the one going to Semugoma Road.
Semugoma Road, maybe from Mwanga 2 Road, this side, if
yes.
Jeff first can show you where Mwanga 2 Road, and you can show where Semugoma Road is.
Semugoma Road is right down Kisenyi, that goes to the taxi park. Okay. Actually, those taxis you see are already using the alternative routes.
Those are the ones coming off Lubaga Road?
All Lubaga Road. All those taxis used to pass here. Okay. But now we provided for them an alternative route, and they are going through Semugoma Road. Then we're also going to have another lane behind Namirembe Road. If you know where Uhuru Restaurant is.
That is around Kafumbe Mukasa Road.
It's Kisenyi Road, actually.
Okay.
Kisenyi Road, off Kisenyi Road, coming up. Then right here, from Cafe Java's, just right after Java's.
That is at Bakuli.
At Bakuli. We have also provided an alternative access behind Cafe Java's. For those of you who applied that route from Bakuli, there's a signalized junction, and behind the signalized junction, we have an alternative route coming right to Rubaga Road. Okay. Then we are trying to widen the junction at Poto. If you know Old Kampala Mosque.
That is Lugard Road, yeah.
Lugard, Poto.
Near the police station.
Near the
joining Old Kampala Senior Secondary School.
Correct, at Old Kampala. You may have noticed they are removing the pavers. We are widening the road and trying to create another additional lane so that traffic can be improved within that junction. Because you may discover all this traffic that has been routed towards that side.
Towards Bakuli traffic lights.
Heading up at Old Kampala Mosque. So we're trying to improve the capacity of the junction in order to have it signalized and handle more traffic and to improve on the flow. We're really doing something.
Okay, maybe talk about the beautification. I cannot see any of the traffic lights here. I don't know what happens during the nights as motorists come from Namirembe roadside sloping towards the city center. Yeah. How are you looking at addressing this concern?
The concern of
because of course, as you know, when roads are not lit enough, maybe you could even easily have accidents or even robbers.
That is true.
Yeah.
What is going to happen, it is still a work in progress. Okay. But I can assure you, before the end of December, the whole corridor is going to be lit. We're going to provide street lights. We're going to provide road marking at every section that is going to be crossed by the pedestrians and traffic. We're going to have them marked. The cycle lanes are going to be painted green and blue, clearly marked. So we're going to have a clear distinction between the two. And it's going to be pretty much safer to use the NMT corridor at night now.
Okay. If you are just joining us now, we are live on Morning at NTV, and we are here with Engineer Serunjoji Andrew. Of course, he's from KCCA. They are the people trying to make sure that our roads are safe or free of any congestion, and that is why they brought up this non-motorized transport system or plan. It's a pilot project that they are trying to see that if it's really effective and operational, we may be seeing maybe less of congestion in the city. And before we get another engineer from KCCA who will be joining us, that is Joel, I wanted to also ask you, there is a Namirembe Road tax park just ahead of us. Many vehicles coming from this direction are supposed to enter the Namirembe Road, Namirembe tax park. Just want to know, there are vehicles we've been used to seeing coming from the direction of the park, joining this Namirembe Road, others joining, that is Martin Road. that is the one next to also the old tax park, those are the new tax park. And you also have vehicles coming from the new tax park, joining either Namirembe Road or joining Martin Road, Mackay Road, as well as the other side of Chagwe Road. How are you going to make sure that you still have this tax parks, Namirembe Road, tax park, and the one of new tax park operational, but still maintain this non-motorized transport?
That is very true. Actually, if you may recall, if you may discover, the traffic flow on the NMT corridor has been routed in one direction flow. I must agree with you, we are going to close the entrance that goes to the Namirembe Road Taxi Park because we provided an alternative route behind the park. It's called Namirembe Lane, the one that comes from Usafi Taxi Park. But the traffic coming from the new taxi park is going to be routed through the NMT corridor to Kisenyi Road and back to Allen. So we are going to provide safe crossing points for this traffic. There is no way we can close off that part of the city. However, key to note also, we are going to provide alternative parking on top of the new taxi park. There's going to be multi-story taxi park on the parking.
Hope also to
yes, it's going to ease on the congestion. So you will not be required to drive through. You can park in the old new taxi park and go.
Press the camera.
And however, also key to note is that we have provided ample parking space along the route. There is ample parking space, and one will be expected, if he's going to shop on Namirembe Road, to park along the road. Now, for those using taxis, the taxi parks are going to be operationalized. They will remain operational. We're not going to close any taxi park on the corridor because of the NMT corridor. Yes.
Okay, as this is Engineer Selunjoji Andrew. Of course, he's from KCCA. As I told you, they are the people trying to work upon this NMT, non-motorized transport system, that is, of course, anticipated to help us decongest the city, at least for those coming from off Hoima Road as well as the Masaka Road as they head into the city center. Maybe I'm now joined with another engineer from KCCA. I know you as Joel. Maybe you can introduce yourself to the viewers.
Engineer Joel Waswa. I'm the acting manager, transport planning and traffic management at KCCA.
Now you're the guys into transport. Maybe I can begin with you. What do you think, in your opinion, is the leading cause of the congestion within the city? Is it we the people? Is it you the planners? Is it maybe we have many of the roads that are or many of the buildings that are in this, or just in the road reserves? What is the problem that is really causing a lot of congestion within the city center and the suburbs?
There are a number of factors that are causing congestion within the city center. I think first and foremost, we need to accept that Kampala has grown over time. So the population numbers have increased, many developments are coming up, and the roads that were designed a long time ago do not have sufficient capacity to take up the existing congestion. So right in the core CBD, the main contributions of traffic congestion are mainly public transport vehicles. Here you have taxis, border borders that up to now are still unregulated, that move and flow traffic flow in each and every directions. Then you have development control. A number of developments haven't provided for accessibility in terms of adequate parking in accordance with what is required with the National Physical Planning Standards. So that has also contributed to enormous congestion in the city center.
Now, engineer, when you talk about transport and management of transport systems within the city, I know we have border riders, we have special hire drivers, we have taxis, the buses, and all these people. I don't know whether you know the numbers at present. How many of these motorized transport operators do we have in the city? And maybe this will also help you to understand that maybe because of these numbers, we have the city is not expanding, but more people are coming to the city. Do you know the numbers that you are operating or dealing with so that you can plan better?
Currently, in terms of borders, we had embarked on a census to register borders. But by the time the operation was halted, we had a registry of about 85,000. Now there could be more than 100,000 borders. So currently, the Ministry of Works and Transport and KCCA is leading a process to have the borders registered and regionalize their operations. because currently most of them are not paying the dues they're supposed to be paying. And we want to restrict the numbers that we are operating within the city centers. Then for the public transport taxis, the numbers currently we have in our records, we have about, the last census I think I had, we counted about 120,000. So most of these operate within and outside Kampala. So the Ministry of Works and Transport has also come up with a law in which all public transport vehicles are going to be licensed and be given route charts for taxis. So that will also help harmonize the number of taxis operating on a given route. A case in point, I think in Kampala, in the old taxi park, Entebbe Road has the highest number of taxis. But there's a maximum number of vehicles which can be allowed to operate on that route. So that is going to be regulated by the Transport Licensing Board. So you can't have all vehicles operating on one stage and you have few vehicles for the other stage. So that will also help streamline operators and movement of taxis within the city center.
Okay. As you're planning for this non-motorized transport system within Kampala, I know we have walkways, and that is pedestrian walkways, but many times you see taxi drivers using these pavements or these walkways, as well as the border riders using the walkways to ride onto as they move into or out of the city. I don't know how you're trying to address the issue of discipline as people continue using the city center.
Currently, if you look at the design of our roads currently, our walkways are grade separated. So we put a raised curb. A raised curb says that a vehicle and a border.
If you can step here.
A vehicle and a border can't climb onto the walkway. In case in point, if you look at all these curbs, they are designed to ensure that a border and a vehicle cannot park onto the walkway. We have also had enforcement moving around to try and clamp all vehicles that park on walkways and border that park in ungazetted spaces. So that current has been taken care of, and all our roads have grade separated walkways that prohibit vehicles and borders from climbing onto the walkways. So that has been taken care of.
Okay. And for the pedestrian or for the passenger who has been used to driving or coming from, for example, Nansana, Kasubi or Natete, Busega, joining the city from disembarking from the taxi around the other side of the city center, that is around the Ham Shopping Mall or the new tax park. Now you're saying that vehicles are going to have either stop before even they reach the city center. How is this going to affect or benefit the passenger?
For the passengers, first of all vehicles, taxis or buses have an origin and destination. So the final destination will be within the parks. But before the taxi...
That is no more parking on the streets of Kampala?
No.
This along the Namirembe
parking
Road.
On Namirembe Road, at least parking is limited. But in all other spaces, parking has been provided for, and the gazetted bus stops have also been provided for. So the issue is taxis parking in non-gazetted bus stops. Parking and stopping in places where they're not supposed to stop, in the process causing further congestion and obstructing through traffic. So that is going to be prohibited. We have provided ample lay bays where taxis, borders are supposed to park and drop off passengers prior to reaching the final destination into the parks. So that will have easy boarding, alighting, and
maybe this is a new system within Kampala. People are just getting used to it even before it's getting fully operational. I just want to know where else has it worked that maybe inspired you to bring it to Kampala? Because people may want to know this has worked elsewhere that maybe inspired KCCA to also bring such a system within Kampala.
The non-motorized transport here in Kampala is a pilot project. So the pilot started with Namirembe Road. And when you talk about non-motorized transport, for those who have traveled in many countries abroad, especially in Europe, Netherlands, I think, has the highest number of spaces that have been gazetted for non-motorized transport. France, you find streets that are completely car-free, and it's only pedestrian allowed. Okay. So in such instances, they provide bollards that 100% prohibit vehicles. For our case, since this is a pilot, we've even made some allowance to allow for some traffic in a single direction, but given much of the space to priority for pedestrians. Okay. So this has worked in a number of countries.
Thank you so much, Engineer Joel Waswa from KCCA. Of course, previously we've been with Engineer Sirunjoji Andrew, is also from KCCA, right here at Bakuli. Of course, this is just next to Mwanga 2 Road, that side of, as you slope towards the Kabaka's Palace or towards Chisenyi Tax Park, as well as here there is another road called the Rubaga Road. Rubaga Road also comes from the other side of Kabaka and Jaga roundabout as you try to divert or drive towards the city. But now you will not be able to join from Rubaga Road to Namirembe Road. You have to slope towards Mwanga 2 Road as per the plan. That is through the Semugoma Road. And on this other side is Odi Kampala Road. But for now, just take you back to studio, but letting you know that already now, as you slope towards the city center using this Namirembe Road, already congestion is too much for now. This is Stephen Mbide on ground here in the city, just to let you know more about this non-motorized transport. I'll take you back to studio where Mala Kivira Odera is there, just to give you more information you need this morning as you start your day.
The Top 100 SME Survey is back. Daily Monitor in partnership with KPMG bring you the Top 100 Mid-Sized Company Survey starting this July until October.